changed laundry over, and well, I'll be honest, I'm slightly hungover. Well, I was slightly hungover from, oddly enough, last night's slightly Irish coffee. Yeah, one drink, total lightweight. Make no bones about it. Cheat date. Okay. So let's see. Let's get all the good stuff out of the way. If you would like to support me, you can do it for no money by chatting, commenting, following, liking, sharing. That will put you in the Marangatang gang. Also, if you send me a one-time payment. Yeah. Speaking of which, you would be financially supporting me through Ko-Fi, which is the link that's passing by on the ticker now. And I would like, as always, to thank my supporters, Simon JJ and Sadie Sapientiae. Let's see, what else have we got to get into before that? Okay, so last night I did the finale live read for Live and Let Die by Ian Fleming. Had quite a bit of fun with it, and the next step then, of course, is to try and get a Monday media review done, so that will be out this week. I'll probably get that done over the course of the weekend. And then come Wednesday, I will be starting, oddly enough, Moonraker. I would not have expected that to be the third Ian Fleming novel, and I expect that's going to be very different than watching the actual film. Vaguely remember Moonraker with Roger Moore when I was a kid, and haven't watched it in a very long time. I do remember thinking it was one of the cheesier Bond films, but yeah, so that's going to be the next one that I read, which will be Moonraker, starting on Wednesday. Let's see, what else is going on? The merch stuff. Still working on it. Yeah, I need to make a note to focus on that too. My notepad is getting full, as you can tell. Oof, damn. And I'm such a lightweight, even the smell of a Sharpie makes me feel a little bit giddy. Okay, today we have a selection of Six Emperor Mentalis stuff, of course, and we'll bring up the stinger as usual. Oh, let me get the browser up properly. There we are. And over to here. I do very much like that little AI thing. So we'll start with Nick Sorter, and he's found, or at least he's posted a video of, he's having a good laugh. An ICE vehicle was seen endlessly doing laps around a traffic circle in Minnesota, distracting leftist activists while the rest of the ICE convoy moved on to the next target. Arrests were then made uninterrupted. Well played, ICE. Yeah, that's some serious 4D chess psychological warfare going on here, and the music is just absolutely hilarious. The caption reads, "ICE agents in Minneapolis playing Ring Around the Rosie with neighbors." Ring around the Rosie, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Ring around the Rosie, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. I mean, just absolutely clowning these fools, which is absolutely what these dickheads deserve. Yeah, there's a reason I call this segment Sic Semper Mentalis, thus always to dickheads. Yeah. And to be fair, that's not ancient Latin, or even proper Latin. That's something of a self-constructed thing. In any case, let's move over to Libs of TikTok. Remember when Summer Smith alleged in 2021 that her son was, quote, tortured by white middle schoolers who shot him with a BB gun and made him drink urine? Well, a judge just ruled that the entire thing was a hoax. Go figure. The media and leftist organizations slandered young boys for this fake, racially motivated hate crime. Summers must now pay one of the boys, $3.2 million in damages for lying about him. Yeah. That's exactly what you got. Mainstream media breathlessly covered an alleged hate crime. The hate hoax makes the front page, the hush crime gets the back page. If it weren't for X, how many of us would believe the hoax? Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of the time, a lie can be around the world twice before the truth has its shoes on, kind of deal. Even if it was just a hoax, we still believe you. Yeah.
And what's this one? Happy Black History Month. Yeah. Galatians 6:7. We'll read this just for the meme of 6:7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Yeah, you do in fact reap what you sow. Okay, moving on. So, former Quebec nurse, this is from Nate at Celtic Ashes. Former Quebec nurse Lovedip Sandhu pleaded guilty. That should be pled guilty, but I won't pick too much. Actually, it may be a bit of a either or, depending on British or American English. So, pleaded guilty to fraud over $5,000 and narcotics possession. She admitted to defrauding a Montreal plastic surgery clinic of more than $55,000 in opioids due to addiction. License revoked, sentencing in June. Does this really look like an opioid addict to you? I don't think so. In fact, I'm willing to bet not only that she's not the addict, but that she was selling them for a profit. From the Buck You Will. Say it with me. Fucking Caucasians. Does that actually have sound?
Say it with me. Fucking Caucasians.
Well, that's not Mel, but yeah. Speaking of which, Mel Gibson is apparently considering a run for governor in California. If you're in California and you agree with Mel Gibson on, well, damn near anything, you should probably support his run. Love Dip Sandhu, deport. Yeah, hit the deport button. Deport now. While I like the energy of the cannon, I am in fact a very large supporter of the one-way trebuchet method instead. Proud to be a mean and nasty Canadian. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many nurses and doctors. No, I wouldn't. I've worked in hospitals. I know. Yes, her name seriously is Lovedip. It's probably pronounced something like Love Deep or something, but yeah. Waiting for the I Can Fix Her posts. Yeah, those are coming. Don't simp, boys. Do not simp. You do not simp for these people. Okay, so I didn't realize this one was running in the background. So from Best Clips, who I should throw a follow to because they do have some of the best clips. Robber walks in with a machete, and the cashier responds with a flamethrower. No, I'm not fucking kidding. This is absolutely the funniest thing I've seen in quite a while. Oh, look, I've got a great big machete. You got your tool hooked up in the door. You deserve every second of what you're getting here, sir. Fucking cook 'em.
Follow Best Clips for more videos like these.
Yep, I absolutely will. What else have we got here? Bro brought a machete to a flamethrower fight. Wrong update installed. Yeah, it's like every shop owner must have them. Video appears to be AI generated. Really? I don't know. Several inconsistencies, including the unrealistic size and sustained intensity of the flame, far beyond what a typical handheld blowtorch could produce. Yeah, it's more than a blowtorch would produce, but she's not holding what looks like a regular blowtorch. Let me pop this over to about here. That, yeah, I'm not sure. And it may very well be AI, so, it is what it is. In any case, we'll move on to the stuff that I want to respond to today. What have we got? Nobody in chat. That's good. Oh, I should do a chatbot check while I'm thinking about it. Oh, nice. It worked. I can close that window then. Okay, then. What have we got here? From Dapper Detective.
Detroit.
Let me grab the link. Copy link. Okay, go back. Move that. Okay. So, from Dapper Detective, we have breaking. A leftist... I'll pause that again. A leftist BLM judge... leftist BLM social justice warrior, Detroit judge indicted on fraud scheme embezzling from incapacitated elderly people. This is the rot of our criminal justice system. Yeah, we have criminals on both sides of the bench. It's not a good deal.
Judge finds herself on the wrong side of the bench tonight. The feds have charged 4 people in a corruption scheme, including the judge, her father, and a guardian. They're accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from people at risk and unable to care for themselves.
Just hundreds of thousands of dollars. hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Stunning 7 investigator Heather Catallo is here now after exposing allegations of corruption for over a decade in Michigan's guardianship system, and now
that's Michigan.
This is a huge
Somehow
federal
not shocked.
probe. Families have complained for a long time that the guardianship system makes it far too easy for people with power to take money from the vulnerable. And that's
Yeah. We really do, in some ways, need to return to tradition. You know, maybe we should be keeping our elders in the home longer. You know, they help with childcare. They can help, you know, kind of steer the next generation in a good direction. Right? And certainly it would be nice to avoid putting them in... Well, let's be real. Most care homes don't provide the same level of care that family could. Now, I understand there is a point where it becomes difficult to have someone in the home to care for them. Yeah, it just is what it is.
exactly what the feds are alleging this judge and her co-defendants did.
Andre Bradley Baskin.
I do like the fact that you're wearing a COVID mask and, well, let's be real, a Black Lives Matter mask over it.
P70474 here on behalf of Miss Nancy Williams.
A lawyer turned judge who once defended a local guardian in court is now her co-defendant in a federal corruption case.
Oh. Well, we'll leave that there before it makes me too mad. Let's see. Democrats are a danger to our republic. Seize all their assets, everything, and I mean everything sold at auction. The money returned to the people they stole it from. Yeah. Democratic politicians in black robes. Is it them again, Yogi? It's always them, boo-boo. Yeah. It's always them, boo-boo. Nella, please. She didn't do nothing. Yeah. What do we got next here? Something from my friend Yiz the Eunuch. And if you don't follow my friend Yiz, who you can find at Yizcognito, I'll pause this here. You definitely should be following Yiz. And Pete, for that matter. Pete is also a good follow. So, via Pete Quinones through Yiz the Eunuch, this is some damning shit, good lord. And this is, of course, dealing with the Epstein files, which I am perfectly aware I'm going to have to cover somewhat. Much as I'd like to avoid it, much as a lot of people would like to bury their heads in the sand and forget that this happened. We can't do that. We have to pay attention to the fact of, well, malfeasance on the part of potentially the entire government of the world at this point.
Jeffrey Epstein's bank account was called Baal, the ancient Canaanite deity which people would sacrifice their children to. A victim's diary shows that she was impregnated multiple times and forced to give birth for Ghislaine and Epstein. Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish-American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. And
the real world. So, in other words, let those who aren't Jews get down in the dirt with everybody else. While one would have to assume the non-Goyim would be above everybody else and protected, insulated, and enriched.
Discussion with the Rothschild family. Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have...
I'd just like everybody to take a look at the subject line in this. Yacht slut? No Goyim in abundance, JP Morgan execs, brilliant wasps. For those who don't know, WASP is short for Wealthy Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I know some people will try and claim that it's white Anglo-Saxon. It's not. It's always been wealthy. It's a class distinction.
Goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017,
Gee, why would a Jewish man want a Russian woman to have an abortion? It's almost like they view, or he at least, views non-Jews as disposable commodities.
Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria...
Jesus Christ. Yeah, but we're the horrible people because we want our countries to stay white. Hello, Kunstler. Oh, man. Yeah, it is what it is. And you're absolutely right, yes, it is damning shit. Okay, what's this one? I believe this is a follow-on from a story I did a couple of days ago. From Eric Doherty, it's official, a citizen journalist has exposed countless anti-ICE protesters boarding buses after they clocked out of the day's protest. Look, watch this. See, all these people are not from Massachusetts. Communist dollars audit the funds. And we'll have a look through the comments after. South Bay Dorchester anti-ICE proof that the people are coming from other places, not Massachusetts.
They dropped off here to make it look like there's tons of people here. When actuality,
that's definitely a Massachusetts accent that lady has.
See? Look, watch this. See? All these people are not from Massachusetts.
This is sickening. I would like to say these people are useful idiots. Unfortunately, they're clearly paid idiots. So, they don't care. They're busy securing their bag while they watch their own society collapse around them. And they contribute to it.
You in the head? She's one of the people from the No Kings rally.
Which one?
The one with the yellow hat, the lady with the...
Oh, yeah?
Right?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
at the No Kings rally.
These are all the paid people. These are all the paid people here that get paid to work here.
I don't mean to make fun. It's just that I find the accent exotic, let's say. But hearing someone say, look at all these people here, it catches your attention.
See them all? These are all the paid people. Soros. All of them, see?
Well, it might not even be Soros paying them directly, but they are getting paid, and that's a problem.
Get their faces. Get their faces. So we know, we want to get their faces so we know who they are when No Kings comes. All paid. All paid. Every one of them, all paid. You see? 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 They're from Worcester? They came from Worcester. Hey, thanks for coming from Worcester.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's see what the memes are here. It's starting to feel like our $38 trillion in national debt is actually $38 trillion in fraud. Can't imagine why. Communists leaving after a hard day of work. Huge AstroTurf, yep. What do we got here? From Shoes. Arrest them, seize their assets, and deport them. It's one option. Soros is using his billions to undermine. Rico Soros to prison. Defund the police. We want ICE out. No kings. I'll protest anything you want me to. Yep. Democrats are the lowest form of sewer shit. Protect your city from mayhem. Don't elect Democrats. Yeah, it does. Yeah, when it comes to domestic terrorism, nobody does it like a Democrat. They're fiery, but mostly peaceful. Antifa being funded by George Soros. I'm not shocked. Raise your hand if you want Trump to dismantle the deep state. Well, that was what we elected him for. Well, not we, I guess. You guys elected him for in the first place. Why are the people who say they hate Nazis doing the most Nazi things right now? Yeah, where is that one? I think I had that story somewhere. No, okay. But I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of the fact that random, maybe citizens are stopping other citizens from traveling in parts of Minnesota and stuff like that and checking papers. Yeah, I wonder who does that. Okay, so, from Basil the Great, the UK government to launch an official Islamophobia definition. Criticism of Islam will be restricted, and punishments will be handed out, including fines, and prison, potentially for anyone who breaks the new law. Official Islamophobia definition. So, what you're telling me is there hasn't been one until now, and they've just been jailing people because they felt like it. They're going on vibes, are they? Jesus fucking Christ. Islamophobe, a non-Muslim who knows more than they are supposed to know about Islam. Yeah. How the bloody hell did we go from #MeToo to gang-raping schoolgirls is a cultural preference deserving respect. Actually, Me Too happened inside the scope of the grooming gang thing. Starmer doesn't work for the British. When we Muslims uprise in Britain, we will come door to door checking everyone's Islamic status. You will be given a choice to convert to Islam or be eliminated. It's as simple as that, and that is absolutely the truth. Be sure to include Christophobia too. Yeah, there's a severe issue. Well, no, you can forget that happening, Sunwolf. It will not happen. They will not protect you, because you are the familiar, and they are exoticophiles. Or xenophiles, if you prefer. Christopher Hitchens, gone but never forgotten. Islamophobia, a word created by fascists and used by cowards to manipulate morons. Yep. Hates Jews, Christians, atheists, gays, dogs, bacon, wine, beer, your civilization, your culture, your traditions, your country, and you. Complains about Islamophobia. Yeah. And has the temerity to do it while standing in your country. Stacey Bryant, Islam as a cancer. Let's see. Britta Stein. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. Tacitus. It's true. I refuse to coexist with people who want to behead me. Yeah. To learn who rules over you, find out whom you are not allowed to criticize. Voltaire. Yeah. No, not this one, not yet. It's Canadian, not Canadian, 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 and American. Okay, so we'll start with this one. And this is from, who is this one from again? Eric Doherty as well. Holy crap, this American is livid after he finds out a school in Washington State brought his kid to an anti-ICE protest. The parent didn't even consent. The parent wasn't aware of it. A fucking protest. Who the fuck said you can bring my child to a protest? Defund these schools. Yeah, I pointed out here. I covered the story about, I think it was the Seattle Montessori School yesterday. This would have been the day before. The fact that they're using children, even behind some sort of barrier, as tools, pawns really, in a political protest, is absolutely disgusting and the kind of shit doomed to fail barbarian cultures do. Yeah. So we'll let this guy have his say. This is Martin Ragnar 1.0. He does have a striking Viking visage there.
So my son just called and said that his school just brought him to a protest. So he's currently at a fucking protest. I'm fitting to go rage. Who the fuck said you could bring my child to a protest? Any of our kids to a protest. They see what's happening today. Bringing kids out there now. Purposely in schools. Washington State. Send this out. What?
I will point out, I covered a story Tuesday, I believe, on my last show, basically, of a pregnant woman getting hit in the stomach with a rubber bullet. Now, normally, in any other time, a pregnant woman being injured would be cause for severe alarm and outrage. However, because she was protesting ICE, those of us on the conservative side are going, no, you're an idiot for going there. Yeah. Why were you in a position to get shot with a rubber bullet if you were pregnant? Not telling you you shouldn't go protest. You have every right to use your free speech. But you have a duty and an obligation to your child to protect them. And that should absolutely be the number one thing.
Washington State sending their kids to protest. I'll see you soon. Let me give you a little rundown on the way there. White Center, we call out here Rat City. If anybody from Washington State knows this Rat City is not an area you bring kids, let alone bring kids to a protest in this piece of shit city. If anybody knows White Center, you know Rat City is dangerous. Why are you bringing our kids into dangerous territory with fucking protesting go?
They're bringing your kids there because your kid is now their weapon. Also, hi Zenrab7, how you doing? Yo, he says.
Going on. Anyway, I'll see you soon. See you in the next video. It looks like they made it all back to the school already before I could get here. Yeah, so they all just got back before I can get here. All the kids.
What the fuck are you doing?
Fucking furry teachers on their bikes.
I'm sorry, did he just say furry He did.
Fucking furry teachers on their bikes.
Furry teachers. What the how do you even know one of the teachers is a furry? That shouldn't be something you know. Zenrab says, I'm good, taking you on my morning walk today. Awesome. Have a good walk.
Is this really what's going on?
Jesus, fuck.
This is craziness. This is craziness.
Okay, I'm not sure where they slowed the video down for that guy.
Yellow hair. Oh my god, my kid is at a woke school. What is going on? This is Cascade Middle School, everybody. Cascade Middle School in Washington State. Did you consent to that?
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to do that?
No, after the cops came up, one of the guys was like the guy with the megaphone, like a kid, who was like, do not talk to the federal.
So they didn't even ask the kids if they wanted to go. They just recruited them. Congratulations, you have performed the same tactic that fucking African barbarian warlords use. Coney 2026, apparently. This is outrageous. I stand with ICE, report illegals, and they provide the 1866 number. Homeschooling day 32 with Grandpa. Yep. Raise them right. Listen, this is a very simple concept. If it's not voluntary, it's tyranny. No. No, if it's not voluntary, it's fascism. Fire all the liberal domestic terrorists. Yeah, all those teachers. Every single one of those teachers should be basically fired. What's this now? This is him again, I think. Eric. Okay, this is somebody. Sandy Beach pointing out to Eric. Here's the follow-up. And they're talking to, or tagging Assistant Attorney General Dillon, I think. Can you help this dad out? Yeah, so let's catch the follow-up. It's only 49 seconds.
So I've gotten word that my son can no longer go to school because people were threatening to press him and jump it because of my post. Because I was concerned for my child's safety, was not informed.
Yeah, and even if your child had not been subject to violence, he probably would have been struggle sessioned until he learned that he should disagree with you. And I'll point something out here. At no point did this father really explicitly say he didn't agree with the protesting. His chief issue is that they took his kid. And I absolutely understand completely.
That he was attending a protest that ended deadly. These things have been ending deadly, and they brought my child there. 14-year-old.
Yeah, there have been actual shootings. So, yeah. Why would you put a child in harm's way like that? Do you think a cop would hesitate to shoot you if you're standing beside a child and you're pulling a gun on them? He might. But, yeah. It's not a situation you should put a child in. Period. Children are non-combatant innocents. Always.
Child. So now he's going to get the backlash from it, so I cannot put him in school. I'm going to have to homeschool him. Now I got to get a computer. So that's where I'm at now.
But yeah, I've been looking for a lawyer. Some people have reached out to me. This is an update.
Well, that's good. I'm glad people are helping you out.
But I haven't found a pro bono lawyer. That's why I do have the gifts and go in my profile.
He's got a give send go in his profile. So if you guys are on TikTok and you want to help him out, it's modern_Ragnar_1.0,
So I've
I think.
that my
0.0,
son
yeah.
can no longer go to school because people were threatened to press.
Yeah. Imagine threatening a child because of the views of their parent. And it's not like this is a rare thing. It's happening all over the place. We saw it in Minnesota. Kids were fighting with each other over it. Yeah. Okay, what else have we got here? We'll save all the Canadian stuff for last. This one should be the last non-Canadian one, and I believe from the language that it's German. And this very nearly made it into the Sic Semper Mentalis pile as well. This is from Basil the Great as well. Pause. So, African migrants at a Munich fairground are detained by police after they started firing at fellow attendees. Deportations are required. I don't think I'd have deported this guy. I think I'd have done something far more corporal in the moment. But we'll just watch this really quick. Yep, throw him the fuck out. And look at him. He doesn't seem to understand that he did something wrong. There's that minus sub-70 sub-Saharan IQ for you. Now, I'll point something out here, and it's a very clear illustration of the difference between Europeans and Africans. The thing that guy just did, basically threw his money back at the guy. Refused to take his money. A lefty that I, against my better judgment, maintain a friendship with, lives right by White Center, Washington. It is a shithole. I can imagine Zanrab. But yeah, I'll be very honest. If this had happened and I was running that booth, or if I was the guy that was getting the gun pointed at him, this guy would be very lucky not to be missing teeth from the butt of that rifle. Yeah, he's extremely lucky he didn't catch the butt of that rifle in his teeth. Yeah. Import turd world, become turd world. Remember! Yeah, 72 arrests, set on fire. 45 arrests, murdered. 39 arrests, murdered. 33 arrests, murdered. 17 arrests, murdered. Yeah, we keep... This is the problem with the soft bigotry of low expectations. If you don't expect these people to be better, why are you letting them out? Michael Line Unfiltered. But seriously, what kind of brain-dead fuckwit hands a loaded gun to a guy whose last 3 brain cells are fighting? Okay, see, no, don't do that. Don't blame the proprietor. He's just there trying to make money. And it's quite possible there were loads of Africans through there that day who didn't do that shit. Possible. Back to your shithole, yeah. You almost have to try to be this stupid. It's not our responsibility to civilize the rest of the world. Let them figure it out. Well, he literally thinks he didn't do anything wrong. Classed as a firearms offense. Yeah, I do believe it said he was actually being detained by police. And it does say African migrants, but we only see one guy here, so. Let's find Grouse. Yeah, indeed. Effing retarded. Yeah. The didn't do nothing starter pack. Yep. Oh dear God, that's a high point. Even I recognize a high point when I see one now, because I've seen so many of the fucking things. Let's see. Speaking of judicial leniency, we'll go there next. This from Ryan Garrettson. Canada's judicial system is a joke. From the National Post. A judge has granted leniency for a Toronto crack dealer because of his 9 children and his race. Lloyd Williams couldn't prove his Mi'kmaq ancestry, but the judge was satisfied he, quote, has established a connection to Indigenous ancestry. It doesn't hurt that the guy is also black. Claims to be black and Mi'kmaq. Enough is enough, yes. I'm so sick of this bullshit. Anarcho-tyranny is a social condition characterized by a combination of anarchy and tyranny, hence the name anarcho-tyranny, where the government is simultaneously ineffective or unwilling to enforce laws against criminal behavior and overly oppressive against law-abiding citizens, like taking their guns when they've done nothing wrong. Someone posted it to r/Canada on Reddit, and the mod took it down for not being Canada-related. That's Reddit. Expect that. I knew that this shit would soon slide its the liberal way. Attorney General David Lametti says courts shouldn't punish drug dealers who just want to, quote, put bread on the table. In other words, he's a hard-working man and should be allowed to do his job selling drugs, potentially to children. Lametti doesn't care because he's not selling it to his children. Zenrab, quick story about White Center. They once put a nice welcome to White Center sign on the corner next to the neighborhood's main drag. The same week it went up, someone got drunk, stole a car, and... I wait with bated breath. He identifies as black and Mi'kmaq, ensuring leniency via both races. Yep. Yeah, he also accesses the indigenous breaks that Canadian law has written into it. He states that he provides support as a father to his children and that any lengthy absence would have a significant impact on their health and well-being. Williams identifies as both black and Mi'kmaq. Although he couldn't prove the latter, the judge was satisfied Williams had established a connection to indigenous ancestry. Retarded. Crashed through the sign. The car was left there for weeks, and last I checked, the sign was never repaired. It's been years. Broken window. Yeah. Let's see here. In 2021 and 2024, Williams was convicted of serious domestic assault charges, including assault by choking. His troubled past relationship, which led to domestic assaults, suggested diminished value in the support he provides to his children and family. Isn't really a justice system. Trudeau appointed over 80% of federal judges. It's true. So we can just identify as Indigenous now. I do. Article in question. Judge grants leniency for Toronto crack dealer because of his race. Probably not even met his kids. I'm looking for a comment that I spotted, but I can't find it. Basically, it was along the lines of guy claims Mi'kmaq ancestry. Judge asks for proof. He says, "Trust me, bro," and the judge went, "Cool." Yeah. What else have we got here? I'll do that one last. Oh, okay, this is the same, this might be the one I'm thinking of, actually. This is the same story, different post, from Kirk Lubimov. In today's episode of Canada's Justice System is a Joke, crack cocaine dealer Lloyd Williams, who got busted trafficking drugs 3 times in the past 10 months, kept getting released, will get a slap on the wrist because he is black and Mi'kmaq. He couldn't prove his indigenous ancestry, but he told the judge, "Trust me, bro," and the judge said okay. Putting the drug trafficker in jail would also create hardships for his 9 kids. 9. Because, you know, he needs to provide for them with proceeds of crime. Oh, he's also been convicted of domestic assault charges twice and spent time in prison. Canada is at a retardation point that it just can't go on. Yep. They keep giving Alberta more reasons to leave and other provinces reason to look at it. Yep. Sickening. 9 children. Where's CPS? Guess who's paying for them? Yeah. Did the judge consider that putting this D-bag in jail would be better for his kid's wife, assuming he has a wife, and of course his victims, but we know victims don't have rights in Canada. Logic is what against the law in Canada it seems like these days. Yeah. Be Indigenous and walk from responsibility. This will benefit who? Society crumbling further when you protect one on ethnicity. I'll do a quick search here. What are the effects of being an Indigenous offender in Canada? What considerations are judges required to give? So just to show you how very bad this actually is, we'll check this out. Judges are required to consider the unique systemic and background factors affecting Indigenous offenders, including the lasting impacts of colonialism, displacement, forced assimilation through Indian residential schools, intergenerational trauma, poverty, substance abuse, lower educational attainment, and higher rates of victimization. These factors are known as the GLADU factors and must be taken into judicial notice under Section 718.2 subsection E of the Criminal Code. What that means is, when the indigenous women complain about how so many of them are being killed and justice doesn't seem to be getting done, and the majority of their killers are indigenous men who, of course, fall under the Gladue factors, yeah, the system is fucked. And it's fucked by the system. Speaking of fucked by the system and wastes of money, let's talk to Maxime Bernier. Or let's have Maxime Bernier talk to us, I suppose. This $6.8 million is a considerable waste of taxpayer money. Those ostriches were no longer sick. Yeah, for those of you who don't remember the BC ostrich farm thing, ostriches are corralled into an enclosure near, it was Universal Ostrich Farms in Edgewood. Basically, what happened was a bunch of ostriches got sick with, I think it was avian flu, had already recovered, and were then culled anyway because the government decided they had to be. Yeah. Yep. Because, Canada's retarded. Let's see, we'll leave that one alone. That one can wait. What's this one? Okay, no, we won't deal with that story. Oh, speaking of massive wastes of money, let's do this one after all. I'll take this one next, since we're on the topic of government pointlessness with money. From Table Salt, new, the CMHC estimates that Canada needs 4.8 million new homes to restore affordability. The CEO of Carney's Build Canada Homes program has built 9 homes in fucking Nunavut. 4,799,991 to go. What a joke. Yeah. I believe that's Canadian Retard Finder being signaled for. I did ask Grok, what is the likely average cost to build a house in Nunavut? And Grok did respond, whether the browser I'm using wants to let me find it or not. Based on recent Nunavut Housing Corporation reports and government data from 2025, the average cost to build a housing unit in Nunavut ranges from minimum $500,000 to $850,000. This varies by location, size, for example, 900 to 1,200 square foot, and type, modular or multiplex. For instance, recent projects averaged $535,000 per unit at $585 square foot, down from prior highs due to efficiencies. Costs are elevated due to remote logistics. So, for the tiny sum of minimum $4.5 million, the government built 9 homes. 9. And built them in Nunavut, where, there is a massive migrant influx, of course, in fucking Nunavut. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave this one and that one. Emergencies Act. Okay. We'll cover this piece here. This is Anita Anand being challenged on the government's use of the Emergencies Act and the response of the presiding figure here. From Melissa L.M. Rogers, Liberals really don't like to be asked about their illegal use of the Emergencies Act against peaceful Canadians. The question was asked, and immediately the gavel was banged to end the discussion. Zero accountability. Excuse me. The real Mr. Bench, I believe I'm following, yes. He says, makes one wonder what a free and transparent democracy looks like, because this is not it. But Trudeau ran on transparency and openness. Why don't we have it? Could it be that politicians fucking lie? Yeah, so this is footage from CPAC, that's the Canadian Parliamentary Access Channel, from the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development.
Mean that we're not addressing issues relating to human rights and international law.
You've answered my question. I guess now that the Federal Court of Appeal has ruled that, in fact, your government trampled on those rights here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I want to give you
the moment it's brought up. The moment.
Opportunity to say if you would like to change your opinion.
I'm going to suspend the meeting. Let's suspend the meeting for 5 minutes so that we can get back in order. This is not a stage for us to be...
It's not a stage. So he's trying to imply that the guy is grandstanding in some fashion, when he had to restate a question to our Minister of Foreign Affairs. Our former defense minister. Yeah. Yep. Let's see, what else we got here? What should the penalty be to members of the government complicit in illegally bringing down the full might of the state to trample the rights and freedoms of its citizens? Remember when Carney demanded the government infringe Canadians' rights? Well, that's too small to read. That's a meme for ants. We'll move on. They're absolutely indignant and dismissive about it. Yeah, not only are they mad that they got caught and basically told, no, you've been bad. Now they're angry that anyone dares to actually challenge them on it. Our government in this country sees themselves as above the people. They don't really care about us. And for further proof, you can look at this. This is, and I'll warn you guys, this is kind of heartbreaking. I've always had an issue with detransitioner stories. It affects me very much because I've known a couple of people who have more or less transitioned, and yeah. From Jeff Evely, quote, I've had this full life that I'm now having to mourn. This is what the common sense conservatives have inflicted on Canadian girls. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. If I just would have waited. Bring it home. Yeah, this is an FTM transition, or she was at least partly transitioned, and did what a lot of kids do. Grew out of it. Just a shade too late, though. And I will warn you, this is incredibly heartbreaking.
An entire life that should have been mine. That was my birthright. I don't know how this happened to me.
Yes, you do. And they actually do. They will tell you in a second here.
And I'm just so angry. I'm so sad. Like, I just don't know how this happened. Like a virus or something. It just like infected me, and it happened so quickly. And it was like I was right there, like agreeing to every single thing. And I don't know how that happened. Then now I can sit here and like look back and be like, why did I do that? It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. If I just would have waited.
If I just would have waited. Fucking heartbreaking. And at the same time, absolutely enraging.
If I just would have waited. If I just would have waited and let myself heal. I can't have kids. I'll never lose my virginity. Like, I feel like I'm left to just like accept the scraps of the life that I could have had.
Imagine having to accept the scraps of a life you could have had. Canadian Republic says we're going to see a lot more young people coming to terms with what's happened to them in the coming years. Unfortunately, people pushing this ideology and those who went along with it need to be held accountable. Yeah, I actually want to play just a little more of this because there's a term that gets used by this person that I think is important to hear.
I had this full life that I'm now having to mourn while also living in the present moment with the life that like feels just like the scraps of what could have been. I don't know how to be happy in that. You know, I don't know how to be okay with that. I hate when people are like, everything happens for a reason. Like, no, this didn't happen for a reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
You know, it's just a tragedy. Just call it what it is. I don't want to use the word indoctrinated, but I was young, and I was sad, and I was impressionable.
Yeah, exactly. It's heartbreaking. At the same time, it's infuriating. What the heck is this? Isn't the CPC fighting against gender-changing stuff? No. And Jeff Avely asks, Grok, under the Canadian Conversion Therapy Bill, for which Pierre Poilievre, our supposed conservative leader, Chinos, remember, voted yay 3 times, would a parent risk jail for taking their child to see a qualified therapist that would counsel that child to prefer specifically a cisgender identity, i.e. to feel comfortable in their natural bodies, over a transgender identity leading to biomedical transition and eventual sterilization? Please start your answer with a simple yes or no. Grok responds, yes. Under Bill C-4, which Poilievre supported through unanimous consent in its passage, conversion therapy includes practices to change a person's gender identity to cisgender. Causing a minor to undergo such therapy, including by a parent arranging it, is a criminal offense punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Wanting your kid to be who they are is now a criminal act in Canada. Sickening. Poor baby. Mourn. How are common sense conservatives to blame for the mistakes this young woman has made? Wolflin, we're supposed to protect fucking children, not counsel them to mutilate themselves. What the fuck is wrong with you? Sorry. And of course, no they haven't, or you'd have a clip from a Canadian girl. Do you not recognize a Toronto fucking accent when you hear one? Okay. And of course, further proof that the Canadian government doesn't give a shit about Canadians. We'll go with this one, and then I have one more story to cover, and then I'm going to take a short break. The Government of Canada, this is from De Civitas at Bill_C10. The Government of Canada is killing people who are lonely. Read that again. The Government of Canada is killing people for the crime of being lonely. The Government of Canada doesn't condemn murderers and rapists to undergo capital punishment. The Government of Canada kills citizens, not criminals. Here's the question. Why should we be putting up with this? For how long will we accept the total inversion of values? And this is Dan Dix. Dan Dix PFT. I think I'm following. Yeah, I am following him. Shocking. They just killed a disabled man via MAID for being lonely and isolated. An Ontario man in his 60s, living with cerebral palsy, was approved for and underwent MAID primarily due to profound loneliness and a lack of social interaction. That's not supposed to be how MAID is used. In this video, Dan Dix of Press for Truth covers the latest escalations in Canada's culture of death that is fast-tracking people to the grave and turning them into an organ harvesting machine instead of giving them the help they need. Yeah, that's something else that's come out in the Epstein files. Before I play this, I'll mention that. Zenrab says, yeah, the transdemonic possession shit does make me want to rip and tear through the cult. Yeah, until it's done. Okay. In the Epstein files, or perhaps implicit through the Epstein files would be a better way to say it, there appears to be a focus on organ harvesting, on cloning, and on genetic matching. Now, we saw earlier there's talk about using 23andMe to confirm someone's Jewish status, but that's also usable to determine if, for example, you wanted to, say, sacrifice a child and harvest their organs, who that they would be a match for. And with, sorry about the knuckles, but this makes me mad, and this is actually a self-soothing thing. The fact that Canada is one of the biggest organ donors on the planet, thanks in massive part because of MAID, yeah, you are basically considered the property of your government if you live in Canada. You generally have to opt out of organ donation. It used to be opt in. You are assumed to be an organ donor if you don't say no to it. There have been reports of doctors potentially fast-tracking organ donation or organ harvesting, either by withholding treatment or withholding the options of treatment, of counseling to end life support, things of that nature. Now, I will point out that when I was younger, I absolutely had no issue whatsoever with organ donation. The only thing I wanted was my eyes to not be given to someone else, because I didn't want someone else to ever have to look into my eyes again after I was dead, if something horrible had happened. It's a whole mystical thing that doesn't really apply. But as time went on, I became more and more comfortable with the idea that should I die early, and in a more or less healthy state, my organs could help someone else. That actually made me feel like I was doing something good for my fellow man. Now, if you look, my status is opt-out. My status will remain opted out until Canada stops killing its own citizens for profit, basically. One of the most heinous things I saw regarding the MAID thing was the talk that, it's a great way to save money. And I thought, dear God, that can't be what they're really believing in. And then I saw that Colorado's politicians are doing the same thing. They're talking about the cost savings of killing their citizens versus caring for them. Yeah, this is the risk you run when you allow your government to treat you like property. Cradle to the grave? Yeah, and they'll decide whether or not you get a cradle and how soon you go into the grave. Anyway, let's listen to Mr. Dix for a little bit.
Canada's MAID program just crossed another unthinkable line. Your government is straight up murdering people now. Not the dying, not those suffering in agony, but a disabled man who was just euthanized for, wait for it, feeling lonely.
Yeah, lonely. That was his primary reason. He felt lonely and isolated.
Not unbearable physical pain from his condition, not because his body is failing him imminently, but it was because of profound psychological suffering and loneliness, to be exact. That's the official reason, stamped on his death warrant. He couldn't interact with others the way he wanted to. He had suffered from this for years, feeling isolated in long-term care. So the system said, sure, we can end your life for that.
Yeah. Zenrab says, I'm in America, but I'm opt-out, but my dad has instruction to change that should something happen. Yeah, and I mean, your country doesn't kill you because you're lonely, so there's that. So disabled man chooses, and I'll probably end the video after I read this, disabled Canadian man chooses euthanasia due to loneliness and psychosocial suffering. An Ontario man who had cerebral palsy, but could move around by himself, received approval for euthanasia, which he reportedly sought after suffering from a lack of human interaction. Yeah. Right. This whole thing with MAID, the whole deal was supposed to be that it would not be applied to the mentally ill or for mental illness, until beginning next year. And of course, no, they jumped the gun, and nobody is kicking up a stink about it. The same way nobody is kicking up a stink with the Epstein files coming out and basically telling everybody, oh yeah, no, it turns out that conspiracy theory about how the world is run by satanic pedophiles, turns out that might be true. And nobody seems to give a shit. I really honestly wonder if during the fall of the Roman Empire there weren't the average Roman citizen going, nah, it's fine, I don't care. Or they're just trying to scare you, or they're trying to drum up funding for the Senate or some silly shit. Anyway, this is the last story today. It's from Bruce Barrett. America and China are at war. America knows it. China knows it. I fucking knew it. And it's not America and China, for the record. It's China versus the West. Canada knows it, and they picked China's side. Well, we didn't pick China's side, our government did. But then again, like I pointed out, our government already treats us like property, so they're very much like the communist Chinese as it is. Let that sink in. And this is from Brianna Morello. Pause this. An illegal biolab owned by Chinese nationals was located in Las Vegas. The CDC identified at least 20 potentially infectious agents, including HIV, tuberculosis, and the deadliest form of malaria. A refrigerator labeled Ebola was later discovered. The lab's stated purpose was selling test kits, but it mainly imported and resold counterfeit kits from China. Correction, from Brianna Morello. This lab is owned by the same Chinese national from a Canadian lab. Ebola, or possibly California, not sure. Ebola was recovered at that lab, and the COVID test kits were also from that lab. Same owner, just different lab location. Deport all Chinese nationals. Probably. How many more are out there? Tons, I'd assume. Well, it's like the Chinese police stations. We don't know where they are. Simple as that. We'll let this video play. It's 2 minutes and 14 seconds. And I think it's from the local Las Vegas news service. Okay, there's no apparent sound on it. Okay, well, we could just skip around through it then. So this is the kind of shit this lab is doing for safety. They're using residential gear. Not even sure what I'm looking at there. That might be an eye wash station or a shower station. But I mean, they're using standard residential grade appliances to keep extremely dangerous things in. It's insanity. Look at the state of the place. Yeah. These guys are wearing, what do you call that? I guess vacuum suits or what have you. Extreme hazmat, in any case. Say the line. He was on our radar. Yeah. China, from Delaware. China-based pharmaceutical company wins $19 million taxpayer grant for new Delaware facility. Yeah, let's keep bringing them in. It's not like they hate us. RFK Jr. explains how China is allowed to buy farmland in the U.S., farmland near military installations included. I'll also point out that the three biggest owners or chasers of farmland in the U.S. currently are China, Bill Gates, and the Mormon Church. Go Mormons. At least your government is being honest about it. In Canada, our government gave them access to a government lab with these diseases and with COVID, yes, that COVID, and hired Chinese assets to work there. Those assets stole the viruses, mailed them to China. They didn't mail COVID out. They mailed out, let me see if I can remember, Ebola, tuberculosis, and there's another one that I can't remember. Let's see. Zenrab, 1.6 miles down. I'm 20 pounds down for the year. Only a whole fat-ass shot load to go. Cheers. Hey, good on you, man. I still haven't got my rowing machine set up, but then I've been working myself to pieces moving snow, so I think the calorie count works out the same way. This has happened before. CDC responds to claims about Chinese biolab in California. Yeah. What's this one? 3 more Chinese researchers at the University of Michigan charged over alleged effort to smuggle biological materials. Alarming pattern. Yeah. Right? We can't trust these people. When you're at the club after dinner and you realize that Wuhan burger on the menu might mean more than you think. Yeah. There is no curse in Elvish, Entish, or the tongues of men for this treachery. Yeah. Let's see what we've got down here. Fed seize 1,000 samples from illegal CCP biolab in Las Vegas, owned by defendant in Reedley case. Yeah. Okay, folks, I am going to take a short break, so I will end the recorded segment here, and encourage you again to go to Ko-Fi and help me financially if you'd like to. Also, thanks to Zenrab for hanging out in chat, which makes him, of course, part of the Orangutan Gang, because if you support me financially anonymously, if you chat, share, follow, comment, like, etc., it puts you in the Orangutan Gang. Also, of course, as always, big thanks to my supporters, Simon JJ and Sedes Sapientiae. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly or not. I think I'm close. I think it might be Sedes Sapientiae, but I'm not certain. In any case, folks, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.